At this point, around 800 bases in some 80 countries around the world. In fact, at the end of the Cold War, there were more bases, around 1,600. So the number has divided in about half. But the breadth of this collection of bases has actually doubled. There were 1,600 bases in about 40 countries at the end of the Cold War, and today there are around 800 bases in around 80 countries. So growing number of countries are occupied, in fact, by U.S. bases. For example, there are almost 200 bases still in Germany, more than 2 decades after the end of the Cold War. There are more than 120 bases in Japan, nearly 100 in South Korea, 50 in Italy, and tens of bases in countries like Britain, Turkey, and countries from Asia to Europe, Central America, and beyond. One of the growth areas, if you will, in a collection of U.S. bases overseas is what are called lily pad bases, or more technically, cooperative security locations. These are bases that are unlike the giant city-sized bases, sometimes called American towns, that look like small and in some cases not so small American towns plopped down in foreign territory with tens of thousands of troops and family members, fast food, schools, hospitals, housing, and beyond. The other end of the spectrum are these lily pad bases, far smaller, about 200, 300, 400 members of the military, sometimes military contractors. These bases sometimes host drones or special operations forces, and they are popping up in parts of the world where, for a long time, the United States has had little or no military presence. Places like Africa, really around the continent. Now, perhaps at as many as 60 locations, the U.S. has military facilities of one kind or another, as well as bases in Central and Eastern Europe, Asia, and as far off as Central America.